What you're about to hear is one of the most alarming revelations dropped on live TV in years. Tulsi Gabbard just exposed a secret inside the CIA, something, by the way, that they claim ended decades ago. But according to her, it is still happening right now. And if what she says is true, then everything we thought we knew about government oversight, about national security, and about accountability is a complete and utter lie. Buckle up because I've got a lot to share with you in today's broadcast, and you're going to want to hear it in its entirety. But first, there was a breaking story that just dropped regarding the J6 bomber. Take a look at this, and this is on dailymail.co.uk. Brian Cole has been named as Virginia's anarchist, accused of planting pipe bombs outside of the U.S. Capitol on eve of January 6 riots. And here's what it states. The FBI has arrested Virginia anarchist suspect named Brian Cole in connection with several pipe bombs laid near Capitol Hill on the eve of J6 2021 riots. Cole, 30 years old, was identified as the suspect on Tuesday morning, as sources told MS Now, has been linked to support for anarchist ideologies. The suspect has been charged with laying explosives outside the DNC headquarters, which did not detonate. Images quickly circulated on social media showing a heavy police presence descending on Cole's home in the quiet suburb of Woolbridge, where the suspect was arrested in the early hours on Thursday. And the exact charges are not yet clear, and Cole is expected in court later on Thursday. Interesting, right? Because here's the deal. The FBI is stating that they didn't have any new evidence that was dropped to them by anyone. No, they were just combing through the old evidence and didn't realize something, and bang, they caught this guy. What's rather interesting is about a month ago, Blaze Media made a bombshell revelation regarding all of this and dropped this on their page. And I actually did a report on it on November 8th. But former Capitol Police officer, a forensic match for J6 bomber. And this was the woman that they had put forward, Shawnee Kirchhoff. And they say the way that she moved her body, this system that they had, matched her at 94%. Well, here's the deal. I'm not sure I believe the FBI's narrative, quite frankly. And I'm questioning if this is a fall guy or not. Now, before I dive in any further, I've got to give a shout out to my sponsor, LisaHavenGold.com at Noble Gold Investments. The feds are out of options, rate cuts, money printing, balance sheet reversals. They call it policy, but in reality, it's all panic. In fact, inflation has been eating at our savings account. The job market is showing this, and confidence in the dollar is fading really fast. Right now, and for decades, the Fed has built a house out of paper, and now it's all starting to burn down. That's why smart investors are moving to more tangible things like gold, silver, and even precious metals. And that's why I want to encourage you right here to do the very same thing. Go to LisaHavenGold.com, fill out this information, and they're going to send you a free wealth protection kit. Or you can give them a call at the number on the screen. And by the way, they are giving away this coin that you see on the screen here. This is a 1 ounce silver holiday coin, and you can get up to 10 of those as long as you mention my name when you give them a call. So please call them today. And it's with any new or qualified account, and you can get up to 10 of them. But anyhow, with all of that, if you want more information, click that more button or click the link in the description box below. And by the way, there's always a risk to investing. There's never a guarantee. But with that, let's dive into what exactly did Tulsi Gabbard say about the CIA that was supposed to end a long time ago but hasn't. Take a look at this interview that she just conducted with Benny Johnson. Here's the question he asked here, and I'm going to start with that question. Take a listen to this.
The media being used as a propaganda mechanism. We saw it flatly. I mean, I think it's the smoking gun, quite frankly. of the Obamagate narrative and the Russiagate narrative, that it was so baked in that the New York Times and Washington Post went and ran with it. Some would say that that's part of Operation Mockingbird. Some would say that that's part of what we learned in the Church Committee, that the intel agencies were using media outlets as their mouthpieces, and that those mouthpieces would parrot the official narrative. And I wanted to ask you, is this operation still going on? Are you aware of the intel agencies working directly with media outlets in order to push prescribed narratives that may or may not be true?
Ooh, now, before I get into her response on that, what a question. Hey, is the CIA still, doing Operation Mockingbird, which I'm going to get into all the details of that in a moment. Because look, the deal is, we all know a lot of that is still going on today, but the CIA has been very adamant. No, it's not happening yet. We've got this massive propaganda campaign that has been launched against the American people that they've used internationally that's happening right here in America. In fact, Tulsi Gabbard confirms that that's exactly what is happening. Take a listen to what she says here.
It's something that we've already had to deal with, Benny, within this administration, where there are people within the intelligence community who believe that their will is more important than the will of the American people, and will weaponize intelligence by leaking it to their friends within the mainstream media with the intent of undermining President Trump's agenda.
And I'm just going to pause it right there. She confirms, hey, Project Mockingbird is still going on. The CIA doesn't care. People within the CIA, not all of them, obviously, they don't care about the will of the American people. They are doing everything in their power, those particular people within the CIA, to undermine Donald Trump's agenda by putting themselves in what they want first. You know, what's so crazy is I think CIA people and FBI people should be elected by us, because there is so much bad that has been happening within that organization. Take a look at some of the stuff that they've done throughout history. And this was on 21CRI.com. It was written by Benny Johnson and John Skirkin. But here it is, how CIA completely took over the mainstream media with Operation Mockingbird. 100 different journalists are being directly paid by the CIA. Look at this. CIA officers, assets, agents, just working hand in globe inside of newsrooms. They're writing articles and they're producing the news. The CIA Operation Mockingbird is still very active today. And this is something that I've said on Restricted Republic for quite some time. But let's go back in a little bit of history so we can go forward. But in 1948, Frank Windsor was appointed director of the Office of Special Projects. Soon after, it was renamed the Office of Policy Coordination. Now, Windsor established Mockingbird, a program to influence domestic American media. Windsor recruited Philip Graham of the Washington Post to run the project within the industry. Graham himself recruited others who worked for military agencies during the war. This included all of these people, and you can see the list of names there, and others also the list of names here, which I'll touch on some of these names later, but they were recruited from within Georgetown. According to Deborah Davis, right by the early 1950s, Windsor owned respected members of the New York Times, Newsweek, CBS, and other communication vehicles. And by the way, these are all the same news agencies that have been spouting communist and socialist and anti-American politics over and over again, all the same names in the mainstream media. They're bought and paid for by the CIA. But one of the most, the CIA is working within the mainstream media. Let me clarify that. But one of the most important journalists under the control of Operation Mockingbird was Joseph Alsop, whose articles appeared in over 300 different newspapers. Other journalists willing to promote the view of the CIA included, New York Herald, Newsweek again, NYT, Time Magazine, New York Daily Mirror, WAPO, Chicago Daily News, Miami Herald. So again, all the same news sources we've seen over and over again. After 1953, the network was then overseen by Alan W. Dulles, director of the CIA. By this time, Operation Mockingbird had a major influence on over 25 newspapers, right? It goes on to state that according to Alex Constantine, Mockingbird, the Subversion of the Free Press by the CIA, a book that he wrote in the 1950s, some 3,000 salaried and contracted CIA employees were eventually engaged in propaganda efforts. And we're talking about propaganda efforts against the American people. J. Edgar Hoover also was brought to his attention. He became very jealous of the CIA's growing power. He described the OPC as Windsor's gang of weirdos and began carrying out investigations into their past. It did not take him long to discover that some of them had been active in left-wing politics in the 1930s. They were already actively pushing left-wing politics as early as the 1930s. That's why we have gone so far left from where we are today. It's because they have been infiltrating and taking over our media. Joseph McCarthy, who was linked to Edgar Hoover, also began accusing other senior members of the CIA as being security risk. McCarthy claimed that the CIA was a sinkhole of communists. Interesting, because that's where we are going, and claimed he intended to root 100 of them out. Get rid of 100 of them, fire them. But he didn't realize, right? McCarthy didn't realize what he was taking on. Windsor unleashed Mockingbird on McCarthy. And then all of these people, right, all went into attack mode, and McCarthy was permanently damaged by the press coverage orchestrated by Windsor. Why? Because Windsor wanted his gang of agents to continue to propagandize the people into the beliefs and systems that they held. Now, Mockingbird was very active during the overthrow of Jacob Arbenz in Guatemala. And I wanted to show you that part because they used Project Mockingbird to overthrow governments in other countries. And now they're openly using it on the American people. And they're allowed to do it, by the way. Obama, when he came in, he changed the rules and rewrote them. And I'm forgetting I want to say Smith, or I'm blanking on the act, but he took an act, he said, I'm going to rewrite this, and now we can propagandize the American people. But Dwight Eisenhower even had issues as well with the CIA. He appointed a member to look into this, and he argued that a lot of the actions that the CIA were doing, that they were responsible for turmoil and raising doubts, not only here in the U.S., but in countries abroad. So lots of former presidents and leaders had to target this in the CIA. But in the end, according to researchers such as Steve Kangas, Angus McKenzie, and Alex Constantine, Operation Mockingbird was not closed down by the CIA in 1976. So supposedly it was going to be closed down in 1976. We all know that didn't happen. It's still active and alive today, as you saw what Tulsi Gabbard said. In fact, we've got former CIA and intelligence committee officials that have been hired by mainstream media. Now they're very open about it, right? Daily Caller, 15 spooks who work for CNN and MSNBC now. And this was written, by the way, in 2019. There's been more since then, by the way. But here we have Clapper, Andrew McCabe, James Baker, Josh Campbell, Asha Rangappa, Stephen Hall, Phil Mudd, Susan Hennessy, Samantha Vanguard, James Giuliano, John Brennan. And by the way, this is the guy I believe who is behind the seditious six. But anyway, that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. That's who I think's behind it. But John Brennan, Frank Fagese, Chuck Rosenberg, Malcolm Nace, and Jeremy Bash. Not only that, but they've also infiltrated social media. Right? Here we have this Daily Mail, and this was back in December 2022. Spooks infiltrate Silicon Valley. Facebook is riddled with ex-CIA agents, including President's briefer, who now runs harmful content team. So many ex-FBI work at Twitter as well. They have a Slack channel, and Google is rife with ex-CIA. So not just the media, Google, Facebook, Twitter. Now, obviously, Elon Musk may have made changes since he took over, but either way, Project Mockingbird is alive and well and still running avidly. Why do you think all these mainstream medias publish the same story over and over again? There are multiple video clips of news agencies saying the same thing all at the same time. They have a message to push. It's not a message of truth. It's not information that you're getting. It is all controlled by what they want you to hear. And may I suggest that the intelligence community is the one really pulling the strings from behind the scenes for the media. That is my intent. That's the bombshell that was dropped by Tulsi Gabbard. Please, please, please share this video with everyone. You know, we need to get this message out. And by the way, the only reason that you guys are getting the real news about what's going on is because channels like mine have been birthed and we're out there telling you the truth because we got so sick of being lied to. This is why my channel is under avid attack by YouTube. I have 500,000 subscribers and I've now got videos that I've got 5,000 clicks on. I've never seen such a thing. I have not had those numbers on my YouTube channel since 2015, and when I was not even 100,000 subscribers. I mean, this is insane and it's getting really bad. And you have to understand these people have infiltrated everything. But with all of that, I want to remind you, because of this avid censorship, please get to restrictedrepublic.com. Sign up there today and get a free trial. You have 14 days free, but we put exclusive content. I'm going to be putting a huge story out there today that I really want to encourage you guys to check out. But go to restrictedrepublic.com, get those stories, and use the coupon code Lisa and the number 5 to get it for $5 per month. Anyhow, with all of that, I love all of you. Can't wait to read your comments. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.